So Florida, as we all know, is a very important state to Trump's campaign team. He was in Miami just last night for a town hall. Now he's back in Central Florida for the second time this week. The first time was in Sanford, and now today he's in our backyard in Ocala at the International Airport. A resident told me earlier that a bus stop actually stops in this area about a block away, and that a bunch of kids were coming off that bus. But Sheriff DeLoach adds that residents don't have anything to immediately worry about right now, and to call their dispatch if they see or hear anything suspicious. Paige, the email claims to know people's party affiliation and then threatens them that if they don't change it to Republican, that their safety may be compromised. Just to let everybody know, when you register to vote, that information, your party affiliation, is public record. Anybody can look it up. People are kind of clearing out right now, but everyone from all ages, little to old, are out here with their masks on and their signs raised, shouting in solidarity. SWAL wants them to go home and remember that not only do Black lives matter, but we need to come together as a community. Well, Dave, their first plan of attack is to cut down seating capacity in the swamp. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium holds about 88,000 seats, give or take a little bit, and now they're only letting 17,000 in for this upcoming football season, and that's only 20%. Love is definitely in the air tonight on this breezy day in downtown Gainesville. If you look behind me, couples are lined up at the Alachua County Clerk of Court's office, and when they leave, they'll be leaving as newlyweds. Gainesville police say that at around 11 p.m. Wednesday night, 18-year-old Margaret Paxton was crossing University Avenue right behind me when she was struck and killed by a vehicle that left the scene. Vaccine distribution is a 4-phased plan in Alachua County. The first phase is reserved for healthcare workers, frontline workers, and people in long-term care facilities. The next phase is for essential workers. Phase 3 is for kids and young adults, and the final phase is open to the general public. This hole is not new. A number of homeowners have told me they've dealt with this sinkhole since about last week, and now the problem has gotten much deeper. Giving a voice to the voiceless is a feat that Lewis says athletes can do together despite having masks on. One student tells me that it's not only important to speak up, but to also show up. The goodwill of strangers and the manpower of law enforcement led deputies to find the body of the skydiver just miles away from where the first parachute was found. Based on metrics set by the Scientific Medical Advisory Committee under the Alachua County School District, if 3 more people in one classroom test positive for COVID-19 in the last 14 days, the entire classroom is sent home to quarantine. And on Wednesday, that's exactly what happened at Gainesville High. The voices of Black Lives Matter protesters up against President Trump's supporters drowned out the sounds of rush hour traffic in downtown Ocala. Students from the University of Florida and Santa Fe College left Gainesville a ghost town as Smith and other law enforcement officers worked to bring justice to the families of the 5 victims. But what about those who couldn't leave, who called and still do call this college town their home? On an average Friday night, Braun says this bar would be full of people. But since the seating outside isn't privately owned, people can place a to-go order and eat outside while maintaining a safe distance. Masks and social distancing is a part of the new norm in the world of COVID-19 this year. With the amount of shooting investigations in Gainesville doubling from this time last year, so has gun violence. Although Police Chief Tony Jones wants to unmask a solution with all in his community in mind.
The other thing is, which I do not want to accept in Gainesville, this is the norm.
The last numbers TB20 received from GPD reported 86 investigations and more than 300 calls for shots fired within the city. We haven't received a reply to our request for an updated report. Although shootings are not a situation Jones takes lightly.
That's why I take it very serious when we start saying shootings. Each shooting that we have, we investigate. And you can't categorize them all as this or that. You have to look at the individual motives, and some motives are going to be similar. Some motives are going to be totally different.
Community policing, a means to an end for Jones as the department works toward an enhanced community policing strategy for next year. It's also an effort, Jones says, transcends gender, race, and political parties.
that is something where I say all lives matter, all lives, regardless of race, regardless of whatever your political position. If you're a human being, to Tony Jones, Gainesville Police Chief, your life matter to me.
A link to the full exclusive interview with Chief Jones is available on our website. That's WCJB.com. Reporting in Gainesville, Ruelle Fludd, TV 20 News. So U.S. student Sarah Lobo decided to start this petition last Friday to start gathering support for those students who live off campus, lost their job, having a hard time paying their rent, but decided to go home per the university's recommendations.
Kind of our lives just were turned upside down.
The three companies that own the most student housing complexes are Trimark Properties, Collier Companies, and CMC Properties. None of the companies were available for comment.
But I think now, since we have so many supporters, I think we just need to keep pushing and keep moving forward with it and just keep the momentum building and try to get the help that we need. You know, again, we're not asking for free rent. We're just asking for a little bit of help. And at the end of the day, it's morally the right thing to do with what's going on in the world.
Online at Trimark Properties COVID-19 FAQ, they say rent is still due on the 1st of the month, and adjustments won't be made until federal aid packages are passed. Since UF is still open and some services are still available, students can use the student legal services.
So anything we can do to support those students, because we are not closed. We are still having classes. We are still functioning. We're still an operational university. So that's a really important thing to remember. As long as we are doing that, we're going to provide every service we can to make it possible.
Lobo tells me that she did not expect for signatures on this petition to get into the thousands. Last time I checked, it was somewhere around 6,700, nearing that 7,000 mark. Lobo's next step is to then reach out to local officials. She wants to start talking to Mayor Lauren Poe and then reaching out to Senator Marco Rubio so they can see the kind of support that she's gathered and so that they can step in and help her. Reporting live at the University of Florida, Ruelle Fludd, TV 20 News. Just before 11 a.m. Putnam Sheriff's deputies were at 129 Shiloh Road near Melrose.
This is, one of the saddest days that we've had this year.
After receiving a call that two teenage boys who neighbors say just moved in were found dead in separate rooms.
We hope that through some of our investigative efforts, we'll be able to actually make some sense of this if we can. And, our role here, since these two individuals are no longer with us, is to be their voice now.
Deloach's deputies are partnering with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for what he says is a complex and detailed crime scene. It drew neighbors out of their homes with concerns.
It's really sad and crazy. Like, I lived here about 18 years and nothing like this happened in this neighborhood.
Melrose resident Kenny Masters says he doesn't know any neighbors well, but says the area is usually quiet.
We all come down, play basketball here, and, fish and stuff down the lake. And, it was never nothing like this in our neighborhood, let alone town of Melrose. So it's a very sad situation, for anything like that to happen to anybody at any age, but for alone kids, had their whole lives ahead of them.
As Putnam County deputies clear out from the scene here on Shiloh Road, investigators work to put the pieces together to find out what happened to those two teens in this Melrose home. We'll keep you updated on social media and on our website. That's WCJB.com. But for now, reporting in Melrose, Ruelle Fludd, TV 20 News. From near and far, thousands made their way here to Jacksonville Jetport and waited hours for President Donald Trump's arrival. Included in the sea of red sitting behind me is one Republican leader from North Central Florida. Sounds of shouts, screams, chants, and claps.
What he brings out in a crowd is the love of America.
Welcomed President Trump as all watched his arrival on Air Force One. Outgoing Congressman Ted Yoho was one of many Republican leaders who got a shout out during Trump's speech.
And you look at the crowd that's here, these are people that, like he said, he goes, I'm fighting for you. And we've been around him enough, and he goes, I don't need to do this. He goes, but I love this country so much, and I'm fighting for the American people. And he means that.
Hailing from all corners of the country, one North Central Florida woman says she got the best seat in the crowd.
It was awesome.
And well worth the wait for Catherine Snyder, a Gainesville native and Buchholz graduate, who has watched every rally this campaign season.
And we've been waiting for weeks for the rally here. You know, we couldn't be more impressed with what he's doing for education and for bringing things and businesses back online after the COVID crisis. We have to get back to work, back to school, and back at rallies like this to support our president.
The days are counting down until Election Day on November 3rd. TV20 will keep you updated not only on national races, but North Central Florida as well. Reporting in Jacksonville, Ruelle Fludd, TV20 News. After months of uncertainty and moving to online classes all due to COVID-19, the graduating high school class of Alachua County Public Schools will finally be able to turn over their tassels and toss their caps.
I mean, a lot of seniors probably not liking it right now.
At Gainesville Raceway, seniors will drive up to the track and once their name is called, walk across the stage.
It's been tough because I haven't been wanting to do anything without my parents here with me.
Darren A. Donley is a graduate of Gainesville High. She lost both parents while in high school and wishes the school board would have waited to have an in-person graduation instead.
Now we have to get out of the car. It's just one person getting out of the car, and we just got to go get our diploma. I mean, I'm happy that I'm getting my diploma, but everyone's not going to be there to watch.
The Alachua County Superintendent says this approach allows seniors to graduate in person while maintaining social distance. Yet Newberry High Senior Class President Micah Page says social distance would be easier in the rural community of Newberry.
But we know that they tried their best, and they looked at many options, and they went with the decision that was safest.
And to sum up his senior year in one word, it would be
unique. I don't think any class before us or after us can compare to what we've gone through and what we will be like after this. It's definitely a difference, but I feel as if it will make us better.
Families will be able to watch their graduate walk across the stage from the safety of their own cars. For the full schedule of Alachua County Public High School graduations, make sure you visit our website, WCJB.com. Reporting in Alachua County, Ruelle Fludd, TV20 News.